In the networking world, data travels through two primary types of transmission media, guided and unguided. Guided media refers to using physical paths like cables to guide data from one point to another. Common examples include twisted pair cables, coaxial cables, and fiber optics. These mediums provide reliable, secure, high-speed connection, especially over short distances. Unguided media, on the other hand, does not rely on the physical connections. Instead of it uses electromagnetic waves to transmit data wirelessly through the air. Radio waves, microwaves, and infrareds are common examples. Unguided media enables mobility and wide area coverage, making it ideal for wireless communication like Wi-Fi, satellite, and cellular networks. Transmission media refer to the physical pathways through which data is transmitted from one device to another in a network. They are essential components of any communication system, allowing the transfer of signals. For example, data, voice, video between devices like computers, servers, or routers. Transmission media can be broadly classified into two main categories: wired media or guided media, wireless media or unguided media. Wireless media, they use physical cables to guide the signals along a specific path. Examples, um, examples, coaxial cables, fiber optics. Wireless media, these type of media uses electromagnetic waves to transmit signal through air without physical cables. Some of the key consideration for transmission media: bandwidth, latency, interference, distance. Bandwidth is used to determine the maximum data rate that can be transmitted. Latency, the time it takes for a signal to travel from sender to receiver. The impact of external signals or noise on the quality of the transmission is termed as inference. Some media are suitable for long distances, for example, fiber optics, while others are better for short distances, for example, infrared. The first category, guided media. There are three types of guided media: twisted pair cable, second one coaxial cable, third one fiber optic cable. The first one, twisted pair cable, itself divided into two categories: UTP and STP. The first one, unshielded twisted pair. It is most commonly used in home and office networks. It is cheaper and easier to install. It does not have extra shielding around the wires, so it is more prone to interference but still works well for short distance. Second one, shielded twisted pair. It has extra shielding to protect wires from interference. It is used in environments with lots of electrical noise, like factories or nearby heavy machinery. More expensive and harder to install than UTP. The twisting of the wire helps cancel out any interference from nearby electrical devices. This makes the signal clear and more reliable. Second, second category is coaxial cable. Coaxial cable is a type of electrical cable used for transmitting data, video, and radio frequency signals. It is designed to provide stable, high quality signal transmission even over long distances by minimizing interference. Coaxial cable is a type of electrical cable used to transmit data, video, and radio signals. It has a special design that helps to protect from interference, making it great for long distance communication. The structure of coaxial cable, it can consist of a single copper wire in the middle that carries the data or signal surrounds the sender conductor to separate it from the outer parts. Metal shielding, it is used to uh, protect the insulation from the block interference from outside signals. Outer jacket, it is used to protect a plastic layer around the whole cable. The sender wire carries the signal while the metal shielding helps to protect it from interference like radio waves or electrical noise. The third category, fiber optical cables. Fiber optical cables are high speed way to transmit data using light rather than electricity like traditional cables. They are made up of very thin strands of glass or plastic that carry light signals over long distances. These cables are commonly used for internet, phone services, and TV because they can handle lots of data and it set it far without a long signal, lasting signal quality. Some of the advantages and disadvantages of graded media are the advantages security. Signals are confined to medium, making it harder to intercept. High speed fiber optic cables in particular can provide extremely high transmission speed. In terms of reliability, it is less prone to external interference compared to the unguided media. Some of the disadvantages of guided media are the installation cost. It can be expensive to install, especially over long distances, and distance and physical barriers. For example, buildings terrain can affect the feasibility of laying cable. Next, let us see the types of unguided media. There are three types: radio waves, microwaves, infrared waves. The first one, radio waves. Radio waves are the type of electromagnetic wave used to transmit information wirelessly through the air. Some of the key points of the radio waves are frequency range, how they travel, and what type of modulation they use. In the aspect of frequency range, there are three types: low frequency, high frequencies, very high, and ultra high frequencies. For example, low frequency used for AMI radio, high frequencies used for FM radio and TV broadcast, very high and ultra high frequencies used for things like GPS and satellite communication. In the aspect of distant day travel, there are three types: light of sight. High frequencies need a clear path between transmitter and receiver. Second one, ground wave. In these low frequencies can bend around the earth, useful for AMI radio. And third one, sky wave. In these medium frequencies, bounce of the ionosphere allowing long distance communication. In the aspect of modulation, there are three types: amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, digital modulation. Amplitude modulation changes the strength of the signal used in AMI radio. And second one, frequency modulation. In this, changes the frequency of the signal used in FM radio and some TV broadcast. And finally, the third one, used for data like Ethernet and mobile communication in the case of digital modulation. The second category of unguided media is microwaves. Microwaves are type of electromagnetic wave with higher frequencies and shorter wavelengths than radio waves. They are used for various form of communication and technology. Some of the key points of microwaves are frequency range, how they travel, and modulation. In the case of frequency range, the frequency range is 1 GHz to 300 GHz. This range includes various microwave bands used for different applications. In the case of distance they travel, line of sight, microwaves travel in straight lines and generally require a clear line of sight between the transmitting and receiving antennas. They don't bend around obstacles like low frequency waves. And in the case of modulation, there are two modulation, frequency modulation and amplitude modulation, mainly used for transmitting information. And the third category, infrared waves. Infrared waves are type of electromagnetic radiation with the wavelengths longer than visible light but shorter than microwaves. They are mainly used for short range communication and heat detection. Some of the key points of infrared waves are frequency range. The range of the frequencies from 300 GHz to 430 terahertz. Infrared waves lie just below the visible light and the electromagnetic spectrum. Infrared waves record direct path between the transmitter and the receiver as they cannot pass through solid objects like walls. In the case of heat sensitivity, infrared waves are closely associated with heat. All objects emit infrared radiation based on their temperature, making IR useful for detecting heat and thermal imaging. Some of the advantages and disadvantages of guided media are: the first one, advantages: mobility. Wireless communication allows devices to move freely without being tethered to a cable. This is essential for mobile phones, Wi-Fi, and satellite communication. In terms of flexibility, networks can be set up easily without the need of physical cables, making installation faster and more flexible, especially in remote areas. The cost factor: no need for extensive cabling, which reduces the cost of infrastructure in large networks, especially over long distances. For example, rural areas or across oceans. And fourth one, global coverage. Satellites and other wireless methods can provide communication services over a vast geographical area, including hard to reach places. Some of the disadvantages of guided media are: interference. Wireless signal can be affected by other devices. Electromagnetic interference, weather condition, for example, rain, fog, and physical obstacles like building. In the aspect of security risk, since signals travel through air, they can be intercepted, making wireless communication more vulnerable to hacking and eavesdropping. Security protocols and encryptions are required. Depending on the type of transmission, wireless signals may have a limited range or require a clear line of sight between the devices. And finally, bandwidth limitations. The available bandwidth for wireless communication is often shared among many users, which can lead to congestion and slower speed, especially in crowded areas.